Alright, hello again everybody. So we just went through the Precepts Renewal, and I will now just talk through some of the service. The first bit, the Five Remembrances. Many of you who are used to doing Precepts Renewal with us, what you're used to reciting is the Soto Zen version of this, which is all my past and ancient karma, born from beginningless greed, anger and delusion, through body, speech and mind, I now fully avow, or something like that. Born through body, speech and mind, actions, I now fully avow. I accept, that's what I am, that's the ground on which I stand. So it finishes in the same place as this one, my actions are my only true belongings, I cannot escape the consequences of my actions, etc. It starts in a different place, which is all my ancient twisted karma, born from beginningless time, etc., etc., etc. So there's this sense of going way back, when back. This is the realization in the first watch of the night, when the night Buddha woke up. He stayed up overnight and he saw the morning star and he was enlightened that morning. The first watch of the night, he saw all his own past lives. Second watch, he saw all karma, and third watch, he saw the reality of the Four Noble Truths. But the first watch, he saw all the way back. So that's what that's about. This is approaching it in a different way. It's the same basic point. It's just looking at it from a different place. It's looking at it from right here. So I've not read this or heard this anywhere, but what this feels to me like it's pointing at is Buddha's experience as a young prince in the palace. And if you recall that story, he was a wise person visited his parents when his mother was pregnant, or just after he was born, or something like that, and said, your son will become either a great leader of men and women or a great spiritual leader. And they wanted to keep him in the family business, so they built this nice big tower, and kind of like, the Rumpelstiltskin kind of story, they kept him in the tower with all these beautiful people, all these young people, all this music, all this fine food, but he climbed out. The first night he saw somebody who was old. Actually, the sequence is different, but we'll do it in the sequences. The second night, he saw somebody who was old, hobbling along on a stick. He'd never seen anybody who was old before. He had no idea what this old age thing was all about. And he was with his attendant. He was just confused. This person who was frail, clearly weak, clearly not agile. And he talked to his attendant, and his attendant explained to him what this was. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. That was a profound realization for Siddhartha Gautama, because it was new. It can equally be a profound realization for all of us. It's not new, but we've grown complacent. We don't see it anymore. Every day, if you look around the room in here, there's a few of us who've got grey hairs in here. So if you look around in here, you can see it in here. This is going to happen to you too. All of you who have not a grey hair, it's going to happen. When you go outside and you see the rest of the world in the bright sunlight, see aging and realize it's going to come here. There's no way to avoid it. First night, he saw somebody who was sick. Don't know what kind of sickness, but it was very obviously sickness. And I don't know how they did it in the palace, but they must have just hauled all the sick people out so he didn't see them, and then let them go again when they were well. But somehow or other, he'd never encountered ill health. And again, if you've not encountered ill health, it's wow. So again, it's something we can bring home, and in our everyday life, recognize this is going to happen. When we encounter ill health in other people, recognize it's coming here. There's another thing which doesn't come through here, which is another place to take this, which is be aware when we don't have ill health and be profoundly grateful. The third night he went out, he saw a corpse being carried on the bier, and in that culture the corpse was carried along, I'm aware of it, on the Ganges. So you take it along, you'd build a pile of wood on the side of the Ganges, you put the corpse on it, and you'd set fire to it, you'd cremate there and then. But you have these dead bodies being carried around. Just this familiarity with death. What is this? That lying on there, not jumping up and running around? Again, there's no way to escape death. We hide from death in this culture. We put old sick people away in homes. We tend not to go look at them. When somebody dies, with a whole bunch of makeup and they make everything look really pretty, like they were still alive. So we avoid it, but it's really important in the culture out of which this grew, and many cultures. There is intentional practice around death. Go to charnel grounds, which are where corpses lie decomposing and being eaten by animals. Go to the graveyard to practice. There are cemeteries here in town. You could go take a cushion and sit in a cemetery if you wanted to be near death. It's really profound to just allow ourselves to be near and with death. There's something beautiful about death. The reason thinks of this time of year, crocuses will be coming up soon. Snowdrops will be coming up soon. Those don't last long. The reason they are so beautiful, so exquisitely beautiful, is they come up once a year, only once a year, and they're here for such a short while. It's so special. So it's the very evanescence of their nature, the fact that they will go, that actually makes them so beautiful. And the same is true for us. If our life, if death didn't exist in every moment, we'd just be frozen. We'd just be like this lump of wood. There'd be no life there. It's the moment by moment death that brings joy and wonder and beauty to life. But there's no way to escape it. The fourth night, he climbed over the palace wall and he saw a mendicant, somebody wandering around begging for food in rags. He's a renunciant. He'd given up everything. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature to change. He had given all that up. There is no way to escape being separated from me. So this is the realization that comes from his encounter with the mendicant. The renunciation of attachment to everything, because everything's going to be taken away from you. If it wasn't, it'd be okay to hang on to it. But it's going to be taken away from you. So get over it. Accept that. And it's not saying the world is a horrible, dark, dirty, empty place. It's just saying I'm not going to be caught on that. I can really enjoy the food I'm going to have. Just want to go back for seconds and thirds that the problem starts happening. So my actions are my only true belongings. I cannot escape the consequences of my actions. My actions are the ground upon which I stand. That's the realization that Siddhartha Gautama had, which propelled him in that journey. He went over the wall on his own the fifth time, and he went off into the woods to try and find the truth, to try and see through this, because he realized the truth of those first four remembrances, and he recognized that therefore the fifth, all I have is what I do, what I eat, what I say, what I think, what I bring into this body and what I send out of this body. That's all this is. And as long as I am unable to truly recognize the nature of old age, the nature of ill health, the nature of death, and the nature of this separation, as long as I'm unable to see through that, I can never be happy. Another way of passing these, the dependent 12-link chain of dependent origination, the last link in that, sickness, old age and death. We go from ignorance through volition or action, on up through contact, clinging, craving, etc., birth, sickness, old age and death. The first three, sickness, old age and death, it's the last one on the link, because that's where he was when he encountered this. He was an incarnated human being. There was this sack of skin and bones walking around as a person. So that's where he was. When he started dealing with the mendicant, he was looking back, he was realizing that everything in this chain, moving on back through clinging and craving and contact, he's realizing all of that gets unraveled. None of that's real. None of that is something I can hold on to. And then my actions, this is where you start formulating the chain of causation. My actions, you were right back at the beginning. After ignorance, the little seeds of volition start showing up, even before consciousness. Little seeds of volition. And that all starts crystallizing. It's the little things that are in peripheral vision. And when you start looking at these things, they start taking shape. All of our desires, all of our fantasies, all of our dreams, all of our hopes. At some point they're not there, but it's only when we reach out and we latch onto them that we start giving them form. And that's when we start moving into this realm of action. We start up this chain of giving them gravity, making them accessible to our senses, starting to notice the sensation of experiencing whatever that is, and wanting more of it. I was going to go on and talk about the 3 pure precepts, but I think I've talked altogether long enough this morning, so I will stop talking and invite you all to comment, ask questions, reflect, say what's on your mind. Anybody? Anand?
Yeah, Gareth, it's a really nice to go through the 5 remembrances. Recently, actually, a few days back, I did my, my annual physical checkup, and they found there is a little bit of murmuring in the heart, and they asked me to take this ultrasound or echo, and I just read that report last night. So there was something, I don't know, remember the terminology, but everything seems to be normal, but there is one thing a little bit outside the range, and it says something, uh, a minor, your blood flows back into the heart or something like that. So I was researching on the internet and things like that. It can, it has all the extremes, right?
Yes.
So, so I was actually, um, it gave me a like little bit of a shock,
Yeah.
basically. Um, I was thinking, I'm a rock solid, right? So,
Yeah, that's right.
uh, yeah, and that shock gave me actually, it took me to a place where I was, it I don't know how to explain, but it made me think, and actually it is exactly these 5 realizations what we're talking about. Um, that really helped me to connect to this, and it you know to look at things in a better way, right? To connect to the nature of reality and to see from that place. That that's profounding. I really, I never had that kind of, even though we practice these precepts and we talk about these 5 remembrances, and I thought, okay, I knew all of this, but that experience, I think it is what really I wanted to just share that thought. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Anand. That's absolutely, yeah, that's a harrowing experience when you go through it for sure. But it's absolutely perfect for what we're talking about here. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I have a number of stories from the past where I have known somebody who had a family member in another state who was dying, and they said, I'm going to up stakes and I'm going to move and spend the last couple of years of their life with them. Where a person had cancer and they were going to change their life, got through cancer, hair grew back, 2 years later, in the same old thing. There are any number of stories like that where people had this abrupt awakening, like Anand, you've just described, this abrupt opportunity to really see what was going on, to recognize the reality, there's only one way out of this. And it's not necessarily bad. It's only bad if I'm in denial. There's only one way out of this. But most of the time, for most people, the water and the sand just wash back in and they close it up and we become normalized. We build the defense mechanisms start coming back up again. And before you know it, we're just back to normal. And we've forgotten it again. We've forgotten it. And there really is urgency in this, because every moment we have the opportunity to look around and see the reality of aging, sickness, and death. Every moment. And to recognize this too is true here. And another way of reading this last section, my actions are my only true belongings, this is about what we do now. Karma is about right now. Karma in Buddhism is not, oh my goodness, I'm the prisoner of all this stuff that's happened, the future is inevitable because all of this has happened and brought me here, so maybe things will turn out right and I'll get a good rebirth down the road somewhere. It's not like that at all. Buddhism is about, okay, I own everything that's here to this point. Now, I'm going to take a pause, I'm going to slow down, and out of a place of seeing clearly, seeing truth, I am going to act wisely and skillfully with the intention of increasing happiness for myself and for others. So yeah, thank you again on it. It's a lovely story, and it just brings home to me the urgency of us all dealing with it right now, because each one of us has the same opportunity you had, if only we would look around us. Kevin.
Yes, thank you, Gareth. I've been recently studying impermanence, and one definition that someone offered that was nice was nothing lasts. And so as a non-related, we all have these, impermanence is a fine concept when it's happening to someone else. When it happens to you and you get that realization, it's really stressful, and until we come to grips with it. And so I just want to say, I know everyone has their own comeuppance experience with this, and the action, all I can think of now is to just be with these people that are going through it. It is stressful for everyone, and I recognize that, and I know many of you are going through issues like this right now, and I just want to say, I hope it goes well for you, and it will be okay, and we're cheering for you all. So
I'm going to pick up on that point of stressful. Stress, Tanisara translates dukkha as stress. Instead of as suffering, he translates it as stress. And I like that translation a lot. So yeah, it's all stress, it's all suffering. It's all dukkha. But it doesn't have to be. That's the core point here. It doesn't have to be. It's because at a deep level, even when we intellectually know these truths, at a deep level, we're still holding on to this life, this being, this self, this identity, this ego. We're still holding on to this thing. And as long as we hold on to this thing, there is going to be suffering, there is going to be stress. And the practice is about seeing with increasing clarity that there is just nothing here to hold on to. It's not that there's nothing here. What's here is absolutely incredible. What's here is the opportunity for profound happiness, the opportunity to work in the world and relieve suffering in the world. This is incredible. Just incredible. But there's nothing here to hold on to. So our practice is about moving into recognizing there is nothing here to hold on to. And as we move into that, the stress goes away. That's the promise in the practice. What else, folks? Katie.
I really appreciate the pairing of the Five Remembrances with the precepts and reading them together. I go through the Five Remembrances, and the first three, oh, okay, I'm gonna die, no problem, got that. I get down to, and the people I love are gonna die,
Yeah.
and that terrifies me.
Yeah.
And I get filled with fear. And when that happens, my ability to actually do a precept and to follow those vows goes pretty much out the window, because I go into survival and I want to do and keep everything safe, and I overdo. And so the last remembrance of keeping that my actions and what I can do in the moment and the preciousness of life brings that back into focus for me. And I still feel terrified and I still feel stuck, but it helps me move forward. It helps me to just be with that in a better place. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. That's very sweet, very lovely. Thank you. Oh, I thought you had something you just said. Thank you.
Yeah. But so I have to maybe a few
Please.
There. When it comes to the impermanence of things and action, also suffering, I've tried therapy for 2 years just to understand myself better.
Right.
I think it was more so a matter of we go get a physical checkup and do physical exercise and try to eat well. And I figured that maybe talking to a therapist would be like doing that for my mind. And I think it's one of the best things I did, because I had a very good therapist, and she taught me something that completely changed the way I approach things. She taught me that the suffering I was experiencing came from me letting away from pain.
Yes.
And the pain would keep on chasing me, and so I would always have the sensation that the pain is behind me, chasing after me, and so that was what caused suffering. When I stopped running and faced the pain, I realized that the pain was there to teach me something, and became my teacher. So now it's more like, I think there's sometimes a confusion between pain and suffering.
Yeah.
The pain is great, like, I mean, once people embrace, not like gratuitous pain, but I embrace certain pains, like when I got shin splints from martial arts, it taught me that I needed more vitamin D. So that's why I experienced that pain. The pain would then teach me, okay, you're not getting enough sunlight because you're very dark, you shouldn't be indoors that often. Make sure you wake up early in the morning to get the early sun rays, that's the best for you. And I'm grateful for that pain. So I didn't suffer. If it was painful, I did not suffer. I have a daughter, she's 4. I'm constantly mourning the older versions of her, because she's constantly dying and being reborn and dying and being reborn. So I still remember holding her and nursing her. Now she doesn't nurse anymore.
Right.
So that daughter is gone.
Yes.
Now I have a new one. So I don't think I'm worried about her dying permanently, because I think on a daily, it may sound cold, but I have a different relationship to death. I think my focus now is more being in the present and enjoying the people and the moments, so when they're gone I don't regret it. I think that's where the pain would come from, if I wasn't present with them and now they're gone. I think that's the regret is, I think as I'm getting older, I know I'm going to die, I'm getting older, but I think the way I'm trying to get old is by minimizing regret.
Yes.
Because I think that's what would make dying painful. If I was never present, then basically.
It's very wonderful. Thank you. I'll offer a couple of thoughts on that. Pain and so there is a teaching in the Buddhist canon about the second arrow. The first arrow is pain, and the second arrow is suffering. You do not need to receive the second arrow, which is really what you were expressing. But for those who want to nerd out on the Pali Canon, you can go find a sutra that says exactly what Nicolette just said. It's all about relationship. When a common experience is people are sitting and they get pain in their legs or pain in their back. Now, if there's chronic pain and sitting through it is going to cause physical harm, obviously you shift, you do something different. But if there's just pain showing up, it's an opportunity to look at our relationship with that pain. What we normally do, what most people normally do in everyday life is they say, oh, my leg is hurting, I need to move it. And where's the me and the I and the mine in all of this? This is all relationships that we've made up. We've been trained into them. But if we notice the pain, and we really tune into it, it takes practice and subtlety and a little bit of bravado to get to where you can sort of settle into it. But you can't find the pain. You simply can't find it. Because the pain actually there wouldn't be any pain if you didn't have this software up here playing in the story as well. So where is the pain? Is it up here? Is it down there? Is it in the middle? Where is it? Show it to me. You can't put the pain in a box and say, here it is, look. It's a little bit red over here and then this bit here is bumpy. You can't find it. And if you stay with it, it shifts, it changes shape. You can't find the edges usually, but if you can, they change. It changes texture, it changes feeling. And then you realize, oh, I was just thinking about something completely different. And while I was thinking about that, there wasn't any experience of pain whatsoever. So we can do this with our own pain, and we can examine our relationship with it and realize how trapped we have allowed ourselves to be in this particular relationship, which isn't the reality of it. And the same is true with the ones we love, with our children. We think of the relationship in a particular way, and that's not what it is. It's not the reality. The other thing I'll say about she's dying every moment, so that person is dead. There's another side to this mystery, which is yes, and there is something there that is not born and does not die. It's just a mystery. We can't. But there's something mysterious here that is not born and does not die. And that's what our practice ultimately takes us to, is to a realization that what I really am, underneath all of this, underneath all the stories, what I really am is not born and does not die. It's just pure awareness. Anything else, folks? Joe?
Last week I was in Las Vegas at a conference, industry conference for work called Dead Talks.
Dead Talks.
Dead Talks, which is, it's, as it sounds, it's like a TED conference, but for the death care industry, or the cemeteries. And it primarily was a lot of talk about sales training and people working in cemeteries, how to run them better, how to increase sales of cemetery plots, of funeral, advanced planning things and stuff like that. And really very business oriented, right? And after the first day, there was a mixer event with open bar and things like that, and everybody was enjoying the libations and so forth, and talking. It was getting quite loud, and I noticed a lady, a Chinese lady, sitting by herself right in the middle of all these people being very loud and talking. And so I sat down with her and I introduced myself, and I kind of got to know her. And she said that she worked for a cemetery. She was a salesperson, and she had a mask on. She was quietly eating her. She was not. She didn't fit in the scene at all. And as I got to know her, I kind of said, well, why are you doing what you do? What got you into this? And she said, well, I'm a practicing Buddhist, and I advise my clients in my community to prepare for death, and to make their arrangements so that they benefit their loved ones, so that their loved ones have a place to remember them by, and so forth. And this is her way of doing good in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And because she is afraid if she didn't do this, she would come back reincarnated as a chicken. Which I thought was just really funny and lighthearted of her way of explaining that, you know, she felt obligated to do really good in the world for her customers and for her family, and she was very successful. She was one of the top salespeople in this organization of like 50 salespeople, and this was her practice. This was her way of practicing her beliefs in her job, which I thought was fascinating.
There's a sidebar comment that comes out of that for me. By the way, two sidebar comments. Sidebar comment one, at the one-day retreat we had yesterday, a comment came up about authentic lawyers and so forth. And, you know, yours is an immediate example that being authentic, living from the heart, doing what is right for people, be they your clients, be they anybody, just living from that place works. It makes you happier, it makes the people around you happier, and as a byproduct, if you care about making money, you'll make more money that way. It is the natural way to be, and people just tune into that. They just tune into that. And that comes from us living our lives authentically, living it in line with this stuff. It really does. This is different faith traditions, different sects of Buddhism all have different flavors of this, but the virtuous life, a life based on precepts, the life of honor and integrity, is the only life worth living, because it's the only one that has a chance of making us happy, and it's the only one that has a chance of making the people around us happy. Thank you. Frivolous side comment too. In Tibetan Buddhism, you've seen the tankas on the wall with the circles, and you've got 6 realms, and it spirals in. And in the middle, there's a small circle. There are 3 animals in there, which represent greed, anger, and delusion. Greed, hate, and delusion. And I think delusion is a rooster. Not a chicken, but a rooster. So culturally, there's probably something about chickens in there. All right, we're at time, folks. Joe, you get your encore. You get a little bit of an encore too here, buddy. You get a little bit of an encore. Pull your music out. All right, so use your chant cards, folks. Those on Zoom, the same chant cards you have on Zoom. Beings are numberless, I vow to awaken them. Delusions are inexhaustible, I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless, I vow to enter them. Buddha's way is unsurpassable, I vow to embody it. Beings are numberless, I vow to awaken them. Delusions are inexhaustible, I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless, I vow to enter them. The way is unsurpassable, I vow to embody it. Beings are numberless, I vow to awaken them. Delusions are inexhaustible, I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless, I vow to enter them. The way is unsurpassable, I vow to embody it. Hold on. Thank you, folks. Sorry, I on the back of the green card is a version of this. So what I did, I got the old blue one and tried to normalize it back to our regular sutra, regular service. And I didn't quite get it right. It says Buddha's way at the end instead of the Buddha way. So, thank you all. Bruce.
Okay. So we've got some activities in the near future.
He says with a big smile on his face. Yeah.
Got a
Lots
lot
of
stuff on
activities.
here.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Okay.
just my all this is on the website and also in the newsletter that Gareth puts out once a month. So you need to check up. That's where you go to. So anyway, tonight at 6:30 we have the where'd it go here? A mindfulness practice in the Plum Village tradition. It's 6 o'clock actually. And of course, well, let me back up a second because we have the potluck, and then this afternoon there'll be the board of directors meeting, and so that's at 1 o'clock, right after, pretty much a little bit after lunch. And I'm invited to attend that to see how the sausage is made, so to speak. And we're going to be talking about our recent change in membership, so that might be of interest to you, see how we're doing there. There will be a board election at the next, at the annual meeting in March, and so we're going to be talking about that too. Those who may be interested in serving on the board may want to see how it actually works. Okay, so that's 1 o'clock this afternoon. Where do we go here? Okay, so Tai Chi on Tuesday evenings with Marcus at 7:30 here in person. Wednesday reading group here, and no, that's only on Zoom. And that's reading Gil Fronsdal's translation of the Dhammapada. Thursday evening is Gareth's practice session, and 7:30, and alternating between some koan study and reading Indian and Chinese women poets. So I don't know what is
Cohen this week.
Koan this week. All right. Then, let's see, this is in the wrong column. Retreats, 1-day retreat called What's the Deal with Dojin? It's a 1-day retreat with Charlie. That's February 17th. Another residential retreat. Oh, the big residential retreat, the 5
4 nights.
Four
Yeah.
nights.
4 nights. 5 days. 4
5
nights.
days, 4
Wednesday,
nights.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
The residential retreat up at Camp Ecoe in eastern Tennessee. And that begins on March the 20th. Registration is open, and you can find out all the costs and everything online. But it's relatively inexpensive, so it's a great opportunity. All right. Other special events. We've got another, the floating Buddhas. That's this is a Dharma study session on January 27th, Saturday, half day, starting at 9 with Charlie. And then kind of the monthly series that Gareth is doing is Understanding the Diamond Sutra. The next session will be February 3rd, and then approximately every month after that. Then February 10th, taking our practice to the workplace, another, I can't remember, is that it? There you go.
Mhm.
Is that a half day or a full day retreat?
It's just two hours, so it's
Oh.
it's about just taking the practice at the workplace. Anyone interested? So I'll be doing that. Thank you.
So I think that's about it. And just as a reminder, we have a dana basket by the door, which you can, if you have cash, you can put that in there, or you have cell phone, you can click on the QR code
happen to be carrying around gold ingots or bars or
Yeah,
something, you leave those.
Just drop them off.
Right.
Car keys, you know, we take cars.
Yeah, one of those eagles, those South African eagle flying.
Krugerrands.
Krugerrands are accepted as well.
Can I add
And
something?
online.
Richard.
I'd like to add something. Membership. We changed our membership last year, at the end of last year, and you might have received a notice that said your membership has been canceled. And we wanted to clarify this because we got a few comments on this. This happened to a few people. What we did is we moved from a kind of you became a member, and it was kind of a lifetime thing, and we moved to an annual membership. And the reason we did this was because we didn't really know who all our active members were. We had a huge list of members, and sometimes we need to make decisions as a board, like should we have a guiding teacher? And we go, well, people should vote on this, but we should find out who our active members are to do this. So it was a big challenge last year when we're asking Gareth to become a guiding teacher and make these decisions, having to change the bylaws. So we moved to an annual membership. So if you received a letter like that, an email saying that your membership has been canceled, just know that we're moving to an annual member. Just go to our website and register as a member, and you will receive an email, and it'll say, well, if you're going to be a member, you need to make a donation of any amount, $1 to $1 million. No, just kidding. But any amount, and then you'll receive another email, and it will direct you to the donation page, and that's our process. And I just want people to understand that we changed that, and I think it'll be fine. And we encourage everyone to become members of our Sangha and help us grow. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Any other announcements? May you have every good blessing. May all the devas protect you by the power of all the Buddhas, by the power of all the dharma, by the power of all the Sangha. May you ever be well. Thank you all.